In today's video, I'm going to be ranking real estate marketing methods from best to worst of what you should be doing in 2024. Let's dive right in. You guys seem to really enjoy the tier list video we did on all of the different lists that you could market to, which got me thinking we should probably talk about the different ways that you can market. Now, right out the gate, I have a bias here. I own Ballpoint Marketing. So clearly I'm a fan of direct mail. However, I actually operate in this space. I'm doing deals. I'm teaching people how to find off-market deals. We have a stupid track record. So take my advice, but feel free to take it with, a bit of a grain of salt. I didn't feel like I could, in good conscience, shoot this video without acknowledging maybe some bias that I have, just kind of to the whole thing. If you didn't see the previous video I did using tier list, S stands for super. And then these are just kind of like school grades, right? So solid to like failing. I'm going to walk through the various methods and explain why I'm putting them where I'm putting them in real time. Let's just go controversial right out the gate. I'm going to throw SMS blasting on D. There's not a way to legally text blast people that did not opt in to receive those texts. This method got real hot and heavy the past couple years, and carriers have all but killed it. I think the reason that it was so successful, if I was trying to sell you a course and I was like, hey, typical cost to get a deal is going to be like $14, that was very, very lucrative for people selling courses. We did it early on, like back in 2018, 19, but we stopped. The folks that walked us through how they were doing it, it was like set up a fake name that doesn't tie back to you. Even some like pay a VA in the Philippines to set it up so it's in their name, not yours. And I was like, if this isn't sketchy, why? Right? So that's kind of been our thing, is legal, ethical, and scalable. Not perfect, but we try to learn from our mistakes and share them with you guys. Next one I'm going to do here is cold calling. I'm going to throw cold calling at a B with some caveats. So cold calling can be a great way to get deals if you want to smile and dial. It's often something that folks do early on when they don't have a lot of marketing budget, but they have more time. My caveat to that is if you're doing it in the right way. So not ignoring the do not call list, playing by the rules. With cold calling, I'm a big fan of single line dialers, like calling one person at a time. There are things that are like power dials or like 3-line dialers or 5-line dialers where they effectively call 3 people at once. Whoever picks up first is who you get to talk to. If somebody else answers, they just get dead air. I try to think through any marketing I'm doing. What's the experience like for the person on the back end? Picking up and getting a phone call with dead air is annoying. Getting a cold call isn't my favorite experience either, but if somebody's not on the do not call list, in my opinion, they're fair game. What a lot of people do is they ignore the do not call list and they use something called the litigator list, effectively just looking for people that are known to sue people that are ignoring it. Again, that kind of comes back to me of like, well, why am I trying to break the rules creatively instead of just playing by them? Next, I'm going to throw on here Craigslist. I'm going to throw Craigslist on a B. So Craigslist would be looking at the classifieds, like what are people trying to sell? We have pulled deals from Craigslist. Actually, as I say this, I'm dropping it to a C. A lot of the deals you see posted are wholesalers or people daisy chaining deals they don't really have. You can get deals out of it. It's a good way to potentially like get deals for free. One pro tip I have, Craigslist allows you to set up saved searches, meaning if anybody posts an ad with particular phrases, you get notified immediately. Speed to lead is super important on things like this. Somebody posts that they've got a property they want to sell as is, and it's 4 weeks old. It's probably been beat to death versus it's been posted for a minute and you're the first person in their inbox. That's huge. We've actually gotten super close on some apartment complexes and other commercial type assets. So I would highly recommend, and it's free, setting up saved searches for things like handyman special, as is, needs TLC, apartment complex, self-storage, that kind of stuff. It's free. Why wouldn't you do it? It's made me money. On that same note, I've got Facebook Marketplace, which I'm actually going to throw at a B because it seems to be a little bit like less sketchy, less spammy. We actually made $150,000 off of one seller back in 2022 that came off of Facebook Marketplace. One of our employees actually found that deal and was like, you've paid for yourself for years at this point, right? It was one seller who inherited 5 townhomes and wanted them gone. We flipped all 5. We netted like true profit after all expenses, private money, holding costs, overages, utilities, everything. $30,000 per condo. So $150K off Facebook for free. I often tell people, like, if you're in this business and you're not getting deals, you're probably being lazy when, you can rip things like that without any costs. On that note, that is not the most consistent or scalable way to get deals. That's why you don't see me putting out content of like how to make $100,000 from zero, right? We got lucky on that deal. Now, you're more likely to get lucky more often if you're looking for those sorts of opportunities, but it would be disgenuine for me to try to promote this as like get rich quick. We had to fund those suckers. I think total, like our all in on that was $500,000 in purchase, renovation, holding costs, right? So me saying like, you can do that with nothing, I would be full of it when it cost me $500,000 to make $150K. I do that deal all day long and twice on Sundays, but you get my drift. Next one I'm going to throw in here, and I've talked about this on the YouTube channel before, is reaching out to Forance. Now, you can do this on both Facebook and Craigslist. So I'm going to put it at a C. Somebody that has a vacancy that they're trying to fill, it's not making them any money. It's costing them money. That can be a really good indicator. My approach with these is to reach out, whether it's through Facebook or Craigslist or Zillow, with something about the actual property. So if it's a Craigslist, I might say like, the cute yellow house is my subject line, not just the default one. And then my copy is real simple. I saw your property for rent, but I'm actually interested in buying in the area. Would you consider selling the property for cash? Let me know, right? We've pulled deals that way. It's a great task you can hand off to a VA and potentially just get some free deals. The next one I've got here is pay per lead. I'm going to put this at a C. So pay per lead is effectively, there's like brokers that sell leads. The reason I put this as a C, it can be super effective, but it's often like one is effective until people hear about it, then it gets saturated and the quality goes to crap. Like we used ZBuyer early on and got some deals from it. There's several others that have kind of popped up since, and people will go like, this is the best thing since sliced bread, we're printing money, to like, it's crap typically in a couple months. It's one of those things that I really recommend you think about what you're trying to do in this business. If your goal is to be the go-to leader, killer, established investor, home buyer in your market, anytime you buy a lead from a pay-per-lead provider, you're literally funding your competition. They're doing Facebook ads, they're doing pay-per-click, maybe they're doing cold calling or direct mail or SEO, whatever. Anytime you buy a deal from them, you're kind of like robbing your future self to pay them now. I would rather them go out of business in my market and me be the person generating those opportunities with no competition versus always kind of hoping somebody else gets them and I can buy them from them at a markup. That's the other thing here, right? They're marking up every lead above and beyond what it would cost you. Maybe they're doing a great job on the sourcing. Doesn't mean you couldn't do it better though. Next, we've got radio ads. So radio is actually new for me and I'm really, really enjoying it. The reason I put it as a B is it is very difficult to negotiate rates that make sense, and it's not a simple process. We had one of our guys in Indianapolis that was like, oh yeah, I tried radio ads, it sucked. Well, he was paying 12 times the cost we're paying for the same slot on the same channel. So getting into any of the like traditional media is typically a long play. It's not like you can just call a local radio station and be up and running at rates that make sense. They'll take your money, but you're going to way overpay and you're not going to get a solid return on that. That being said, the lead quality on them has been super solid. It's not a huge amount of volume, but what comes in, like they're interested, they're ready to talk. I mean, they're literally reaching out to us. We didn't do any initial outreach. So I actually really am enjoying radio, and it's a channel that we're planning on scaling pretty heavily in 2024. On that note, I think there's actually quite a bit of opportunity in some of these traditional channels if you can figure them out. Staying with that, I'm going to do TV ads. Now, CTV, like connected TV, like, what comes stock on like Samsung TVs and stuff like that, we've not had good luck with. We blew through like $20,000 without getting a deal. It's a channel we think there's opportunity to. We're going to split test and continue to play with later on in the year. But conventional TV, like ads, similar to radio, I'm going to throw it a B with a big caveat. I personally haven't done them. There's folks that are like niche specific that will get you on TV. One thing I've seen is they're often marking these rates up super heavily. So you're paying them for the commercial and then they get paid every single time you run it. It's like a broker type situation. I know folks that do it and have really good luck with it. One caveat to both TV and radio is it typically targets like the Nielsen DMA. I don't know what DMA stands for, but like it's not going to be just your city. It's likely going to be your county and a lot of rural stuff around it. So it can be a pretty wide net. From some friends of mine that used it and didn't like it, they were getting a lot of very rural stuff, but it was kind of in that like play region. So this is really one of the only ones on here that I don't have like a ton of experience with. So do with that what you will. Next, I'm going to throw RVMs on here. If you don't know what RVMs are, that's ringless voicemail drops. Effectively, the person's phone rings for like half a second. It shows like an unknown number calling and then goes straight to voicemail, and it's a pre-recorded recording. I think they're highly illegal. I have friends of mine that have gotten sued for north of $30,000 for doing them. That being said, similar to SMS blasting, I'll own we did them back in 2017. We were pretty slick with it. Like had EQ put on the microphone so it sounded like a phone call, had like city traffic sounds playing in the background so it sounded like I was out and about downtown. And I even went so far as to recording the most common names and splicing that in. So you'd get hey Ryan, I'm calling about a property I think you own. I'm interested in buying it. Give me a call back at this number, kind of a deal. Got a lot of angry calls, and we probably pulled one or two deals out of it. Similarly though, this was kind of before I was super aware of like legalities and stuff. It was like somebody told me to do it on the internet. So I was like, sure, cool, let's send it. The reason why we stopped was that user experience. It's like, I started to get hit with them and I was like, this is super freaking annoying. So not a fan of RVMs. I think there's a lot of legal exposure and risk there. I'm going to throw direct mail on this one at an A. And I'm going to walk you through why I'm not marking it as super. So direct mail is our most consistent source of deals. Our typical cost per acquisition is right around $3,000 in the markets I'm in. In more major southern type markets, you're going to be closer to $5K. In markets like Miami, LA, DC, you might be 8, 10, 12, 15, 20K. So that's one thing that knocks it down for me from super. Like there is a cost associated with it. It's not a free channel by any means. It is our most consistent though. And that's obviously with Ballpoint Marketing, company I own. They do all of my direct mail. So why is it not super for me? From what I've seen owning Call Porter, that's our inbound call center, about 40% of the leads that come off of direct mail are take me off the list. As in, I'm not interested. Please don't contact me again. The other 60%, about half of those go to an appointment. Hey, come out, make me an offer. The other half, we've got to follow up and do some work on. So the reason for me that it's not super, like response rates, let's say I'm getting 1.5%. I think the industry standard for direct mail is like 0.1%. At Ballpoint on average, we're seeing 0.5% up to 1.5. There's always outliers, right? Don't come after me if you were at 0.2, or don't tell me I'm wrong if you got 0.5. I once did 400 pieces of mail for somebody and got them 40 leads, like legit leads, small rural town, right? There's outliers on all ends, but the cost is expensive and the sellers often start out, I lovingly say most of the deals I buy come from like unmotivated tire kickers. They're not calling me like, oh, I'm desperate, please take my house. They're like, hey, I got your card, I got your letter in the mail. What's your offer? What do you want? Right? So there's a little bit of finesse that's needed to get to those appointments and close those deals. That being said, it is our most consistent source. So what would go on super for me here? SEO by far. SEO stands for search engine optimization. Effectively, somebody's Googling sell my house fast, we buy houses, companies, that sort of a thing. These are my favorite deals because they know what we do. They know we're probably not going to pay top dollar, and they're typically very motivated. The quality on them is solid. The challenge with it, it's not scalable. And then also SEO is kind of like a black box. Most people don't know how to do it. There's a lot of agencies that do it and actually suck. So it's one of those, I think, if you're going to dive into SEO, this is one of those things that has a really high ROI on your time. It's just not going to be super fast. It might take you 6 to 12 months to really see results. But I think it is worthwhile. I used to hire it out to agencies, some individuals. We had problems with that. So I'm now taking it in-house and working on learning it myself. So you'll probably get more SEO type content from me here on YouTube. Definitely the folks in CCF will. Next here, I've got pay-per-click ads, which I'm going to throw at an A. I'm a big fan of pay-per-click because it's kind of like SEO, but a little bit more scalable. The reason it's not an S for me, typically you're outsourcing it to an agency or a third party, and they're not often super affordable. Like you're typically paying close to $2,000 a month in management. In my experience with real estate investors, a lot of you guys are cheap and don't market a lot. So it really sucks if you've got a $5K a month budget and you're throwing $2K of that to an agency and really only spending $3. The other challenge with it is it's not necessarily super scalable. Like you can spend $3K a month in one market and $10K a month in one market, and you might not necessarily get more deals as you add an extra $7K to that budget. There's only so many people searching, we buy houses, sell my house fast. They're going to click on the pay-per-click ads. Kind of goes back to my whole pay-per-lead thing. If you're doing pay-per-click and pay-per-lead, you're literally funding the people that you're competing with. Next on here, I've got agent outreach, reaching out to properties that are listed, looking at stuff on the market, asking agents if they have any connections. I'm going to throw this at an A. It's super solid, doesn't really cost you anything other than time. It is one of those things that a lot of people don't really want to do because it takes time, it takes effort. There's no guarantees with it. But this is something that we focus on every single week in all of the markets that we're in. Next here, I've got Facebook ads, and I'm going to throw this at a C. I've spent over $1 million of my own money running Facebook ads for the various companies I own, including on the real estate side. It's very easy for me to justify the ad spend in the non-real estate related companies. So growing Ballpoint, growing CCF, building my email list, that sort of stuff. The challenge with Facebook is they have what's called special ad categories. I have to declare that I'm running an ad in the real estate space, and to try to prevent digital redlining, they kind of neuter your ability to target. You can't target by age, and the smallest circle you can cast is 15 miles. And they also remove your ability to target by things like, are they a homeowner? What do they do for work, etc. So you're casting kind of a wide net to a lot of people that may or may not be homeowners. And then the other challenge with it is the leads are often a little flighty. They don't remember filling out the form. It's a lot of chase, which honestly is not dissimilar from cold calling. You might get leads, but you're gonna have to work them pretty hard to get them to conversions. That being said, we are doing it. It's kind of I think we're throwing $3,000 a month at it right now. It's nothing crazy. We're averaging leads for $100 to $150. Is it worthwhile? For most people, I would say you're gonna be better off going into one of these other channels. I did a YouTube video with Billy Fernandez, a good friend of mine. Him and his wife, Tara, back in March of 2024, pulled in $600K in a month. And that was by going deep on channels. I think they spent a total of $80K that month in marketing, and $50K of it was in direct mail. So there's this trap that I see real estate investors fall into is let me throw $2,000 here, $1,000 here, $3 here, $2 here, versus you'd be better off going all in on 1 or 2 channels versus trying to, do you want one giant river of deals? Or do you want just little trickles that you can't count on from all these various places? Don't spread yourself too thin. Referrals, I'm going to throw at an S. Referrals, effectively, you bought somebody's house and they're sending you somebody else. It's typically a lay down deal. I'll take them all day long. It's not scalable, right? So I guess I could throw it at an A or a B, but I love them. So I'm going to throw referrals at super. Last but not least is door knocking. We've actually got somebody in CCF that does a really good job getting deals door knocking in downtown Denver. I'm going to throw it at a D. Just if I'm being honest, I don't have the balls to do it. Like, I'm not trying to go door to door pounding the pavement. I prefer my leads to come to me. I also tend to not invest heavily where I live. Like, my main market has been Indianapolis while I've lived in all these other states. So I couldn't really do it if I wanted to anyway. That being said, I think it is kind of one of those, how bad do you want it? If you really want to succeed in this business, go door knock if you don't have a budget. We did leave off wholesalers on this, and arguably it probably should have been added. I'd probably throw it at like a C. I think you're gonna have to kiss a lot of like frogs before you find your prince. And similar logic applies to pay-per-lead. If I'm buying deals from a wholesaler in my market, I am funding additional marketing for them, which if I'm doing my own marketing, I'm directly competing against. If I'm only looking for a deal a quarter, don't care about it. Go do what you got to do to get your deals. But if you're trying to become the shop in town, you might run into an issue of like creating or training your own competition. I know a few people that have ran into that issue in their market of like, they've taught everything they do to local people that are now doing what they do, how they do it with the same vendors. And it's made it pretty hard for them to get deals done. To be careful with how I phrase this, it's not a scarcity minded thing. I think there's more than enough deals to go around. I would just rather get as many of them myself as possible. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch today's video. Hopefully you found this helpful. You could probably ask 20 different coaches to do this and they'd give you 20 different rankings, including some saying direct mail is the dumbest thing you can ever do. But these are my opinions based off of the years that I've been in this business, working with hundreds of companies and what I've seen firsthand. My heart to yours, pick a channel or two and go all in on it. Don't try to do 5 or 10 and you're going to go a lot further. Again, my name is Ryan Dossey. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys next time.